Hello, everybody, and welcome to the year of being 70. This is the podcast that my Lisette Schoutemaker, my childhood friend in the Netherlands, and I, Lucy Macara in the UK, started when we were just 70, and we are talking every week about our lives as 70-year-olds, and our thoughts on the 70 years that we've been alive. So this week we are going to talk about the very big subject, really, of friendship and how that has played out. I mean, obviously, we have been friends since we were 7 or 8, and we've always been close friends, even though not friends who've seen each other all the time, a lot of the time. So I think, I feel that you are one of my most valuable friends, my most valued friends, even though I've gone through, I mean, literally years, possibly decades of not being in touch with you. There are some people in our lives, aren't there, who we just have that kind of deep connection with, and it doesn't matter how long or how often we see them, but when we do, you kind of always go, oh, it's like we've never been apart, or we've never sort of, we just saw each other last week. So I don't know. I don't have many of those people in my life. How about you?
Yeah, I think friendship is like a mysterious topic because some people you befriend like straight away and others it takes years. I have, I don't know, I don't even know. I used to have like three best friends. And I used to know, but one of them I never speak to anymore since she retired. She's gone on a completely different route, completely different direction, and we don't have anything to say to each other anymore. So it's very strange. And so that's quite recent. Another one has gone very much in the spiritual world, and we are still close, but not as close as we were. And I thought, but I also have new friends. And I used to think that, after school or after university that we both went to, you had your circle of friends, and then that was basically it. But for me, that is not true at all. So is that true for you?
Yeah, yes. I mean, I don't, yes, I don't think I've thought about it in those terms, but I think I've had different sort of, I mean, when I was at school, especially at primary school, when I was, below 12, I always had one best friend, and, it was very close and quite intense. And I don't know, I don't think I ever thought about whether that would last forever or not, and it hasn't. I'm not in touch with either of the two best friends that I had over that period. And then when I went to well, I went to boarding school, I was sort of more part of a group, and again, I'm not in touch with any of them either anymore. So, but what happened with me is that I went to university, but I went to university and I had a boyfriend at the university I first went to. So sort of his friends sort of became my friends. And then one of his friends became my boyfriend, and I ended up marrying him. And that was my best friend relationship, really. And it's sort of, I didn't kind of go, and then we moved to Australia. So
So your husband was your best friend relationship,
yes,
or the
yes.
previous, or your ex?
No, 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 no.
Let's get
No,
clear on this.
that would have been messy. No.
So you had
No.
a man as a best friend.
Yes, yes. Yes, and actually when I was in my teenage years, I had 2 years at home, sort of at school in London. And then I had a group of male friends who were also sort of between school and university and all in London at the same time. And they were my they were my best friends. And I don't see any of them either anymore. So I'm really, really not a very good friend, I don't think. So
Oh, I always think I'm not a very good friend either. But that is not, yeah. Yeah, that is because in various phases of my life, I work with people, I meet people, and some of them I become close to, and our conversations remain interesting, and we keep being interested in each other's lives and discoveries and progress and inner life. And yeah, with some, I'm not very good at being sociable for the sake of being sociable. I'm just not born that way.
No, no, I'm not either. I need to have something, sort of additionally in common with people. And often for
Yeah.
me, that will be work.
Yeah, for
So
me
the
too.
people I work with now are, in a way, my closest friends, or some of them. I mean, there are one or two people who have, gone through my whole life. And some of them are friends that our parents were friends. So you're obviously one of those. And that sort of the familial thing does kind of keep me on track with a friendship. I mean, often probably that's because the parents will stay in touch and sort of, I mean, that's obviously happening less now, and because they are dying off. And,
Or have
but
died. Yeah. No,
yeah, have died,
it's a
exactly.
sweet thing when you know a person's parents and you know their siblings from when they were young. That gives a depth to a friendship, I think.
That's
And
right.
then
Yeah.
when you inquire after the family, it's kind of you kind of weave that web of that little tribe that were visiting. You're visiting their house. You kind of, and also after the parents have deceased, it's very sweet when you know where this person came from and how they lived and how the parents were and if it was, tense or relaxed or fun
Yes,
or
exactly.
or
And you
musical
share,
or whatever that happened in their yeah.
yes. And you share those childhood memories or, occasional get together when you were older,
Yeah.
family memories and things. Actually, 2 weeks ago, one of my mother's very old friends, I mean, and I literally mean very old because they're both in their 90s, her daughter died. I think that
Oh
must
no.
be a terrible thing to have happen. I mean,
Oh
she was my age and we were good friends when we were kind of, between maybe, I mean, we knew each other all our lives, literally. We lived down the road from each other. We went to the same schools, but we weren't in the same school year. So, but we used to go on family holidays together and stay in each other's holiday houses. And so, when we were close at that time, and I literally haven't probably seen her since I was 20 or less. But it was so sad, felt, I mean, the loss of her going 2 weeks ago. It's really,
and
really,
is her mother still alive?
yeah, she is.
Oh,
Yes,
the worst.
yes.
I think that is horrible to live to be so old that you see your own
And
child.
yes,
I mean, the death of a child, I think is the most horrible thing that can happen to a person.
yeah, yeah. I can't imagine how you get over
No,
that,
you
really.
don't want to imagine that
No, no,
either.
indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
But
Oh, so are you going to the funeral? Is it going?
it's quite a long way away, so I
Yeah,
probably won't to
yeah,
be there.
yeah,
Um, if it was in London or something, I would, of course,
yeah,
definitely go, but it's
yeah.
down
But it's
here.
still kind of around you and in your feet.
Yeah,
Right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely.
But I think when I look at my siblings, when I go to their birthdays, there's many people I know because I know
Yeah,
them from their school days, and they've gone back to live in the village where I grew up, and they see each other, and they're like, oh, there they are again, and I don't have that. Also, I don't have what you could call a circle of friends.
no,
Siblings have like a circle of friends, and the friends know each other.
yeah,
They play golf together and they play bridge together and they see each other on each other's parties. Whereas I have individuals who don't necessarily belong together. That's why when I turned 70 and I gave a party, my instruction to people was, there are some people here you might know, and of course, they are the best people in the room, the most interesting, the most fun people to be with because they're your friends. But my friends are all really fun people to be with. So go talk to someone you don't know.
yes,
I
that's
gave that
nice.
instruction, and because people, to my surprise, are quite obedient, many people did this, and some of them came to me and said, Lisette, this was very strange that you even had to name this. But you had to, otherwise, I would have just sat with the friends I've known for 50 years because, for instance, the little circle that I know from my student days, they see each other a lot, but I see them occasionally. And this particular man said, I needed that instruction and did it. I had a great time meeting these new people.
That's very good. I wish now I'd said that at my 70th party. I think quite a lot of people did speak to people they didn't know, but also I think they did kind of congregate in groups of people who did know each other.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
we kind of seek safety there. So
yeah,
it's a bit
yes,
of a
exactly.
hurdle, but you too have friends in different pods, so to
Yeah,
say. You are
yes,
not a circle of friends.
yes, yes, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yes, interesting that we both have that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never managed to. I kind of feel that it's sort of a failing in me that I've managed not to kind of maintain a circle of friends throughout my life. I don't. I mean, it doesn't.
Okay, so
It
there
doesn't.
is so there is a standard about friendship that so what is the stand? What have you failed? Why have you
I
failed? What
don't
is the
know. It's
standard? And where's the agency that makes up these rules, right?
I
Yeah.
don't know. It's ridiculous. And there isn't one, obviously, at all.
Yeah.
It's just
No, but this is interesting how we kind of, again, flagellate ourselves or whatever you call it, because
yes,
we're somehow wrong in our friendships. Actually, I can say that in a circle of friends, very often, because I had that during my student days, I was part of a student association with very strict rules and we had these groups and you had your own song and you had your own clothes and you came together at a certain time and my particular group's called Mississippi, very much for the sip of the sherry that we used to drink. I mean they still gather, but I have left them 20 years ago because to me it is very suffocating. To me, in those groups there is very often very fixed roles and very fixed conversations and topics and so a circle I'm not suited to a circle of friends, and in a way I've had to, I mean, I was berating you, but my parents had a circle of friends,
yeah.
and sometimes a new person would be introduced. For instance, one of my mother's friends lost her husband and then found a new partner. And so that new partner was like, wow, there's a new person on the annual birthday of my father, which was in August, which they always had a party. And yeah, so that was the standard to have a circle, but I'm not suited to that. I
No,
don't,
I like that.
doesn't fit.
I think I'm not suited to it either, so that's a much better framing of it rather than saying I've failed, I've failed. To say yes, yes. I mean, there are a few people who are. I mean, one of my best friends, a man who I started off working with in my 30s, and I mean, he's just so good at being a friend. He has a huge circle of friends, and he keeps up with all of them, and he makes sure he goes and sees them. He's very extrovert. He loves parties. He loves company. And he makes me keep in touch. We have lunch. We also do work together. We have creative projects together, and that's lovely. And that really works for me because if I'm working on something with somebody, then I'm very engaged,
Yeah.
and that's my, in a way, that's my version of friendship. And then there is a woman who is sort of connected to Richard's family, to my husband's family, and not actually related, but they were sort of brought up in a sort of cousin kind of relationship, if you like. And she has a daughter with similar needs to my youngest daughter. And that kind of really reinforces. I mean, we're in touch. We kind of lean on each other when something terrible happens or there's a bit of a crisis. I mean, we rarely see each other, but we WhatsApp each other and occasionally
Mm.
talk. And I love her. She's wonderful. She's very different to me. And I don't. There's no kind of work element there. But I suppose, if you look at children as work, then it's a sort of there's that thread holding it together.
Yeah.
And yes,
Yeah, but
but
for me
yes,
to come back to that male friend, I have a friend like that too, who makes sure that we have lunch like twice a year, and who keeps it going. So immediately it goes like, how do I? But I keep things going too. I call people. I have a very good system of birthdays. So it's in my phone, and I make a point of celebrating people on their birthday, and very often that leads to kind of a dinner or doing something together or a moment of contact. And,
yes, that's nice. I'm not particularly good at even doing that. I mean, I feel that I mean, you've got a lot of family as well, but I feel that I've got enough family to keep me busy with birthdays and keeping in touch in some ways.
yeah.
And
But you have like direct family. You have descendants,
yes,
independent.
yes,
I
that
don't.
yeah,
I have
no.
nephews and nieces, and yeah. I mean, not so many. Eight
No,
and
no, I do feel my sons and their partners are in many ways my best friends. And well,
that
they
is
are really.
beautiful.
Yes, yes,
That's
yes, it is.
wonderful.
It is. Yes, I am very close to them all, I think. Yes, which is lovely. Yeah, yes.
Yeah,
So
well done. I don't think every parent can say that, but I think it is very beautiful if you have in your adult life kind of a relationship that you're so close with them, and yeah, mutually interested.
yes. Yes. No, that's nice. So why do you, I mean, you've sort of explained why you didn't keep up with your university group of friends because it was suffocating. What was suffocating about it? What do they do that you don't
Well, I
do?
actively did not keep up with them because
Right.
I thought after university, so there were very like tight groups, and they had it was as coded as like the village where I grew up in, which is a bit like kind of, let's say you call it upper class people have live by very strong codes. This is acceptable, this is not acceptable, this we find fun, this we don't find fun, and I've never felt at home in that. And then when I left Leiden, I thought, if I go to Amsterdam, I really want to go to Amsterdam. I really, if I keep seeing the people that I already know, then what is this adventure of going to Amsterdam? Then I'm just only living there, and then not really.
Yeah.
So I made a point of kind of not calling all the time, not doing the attentive things. And in the beginning, I had a lonely period. I'm better now at making friends. I wasn't so good then. I was still quite both shy and a bit rigid and insecure and depressed and all these things. And yeah, so, but I found some people, and then kind of could expand, and then could expand through work, and then met my friend Wies Enthoven, who I wrote in the end The Eldest Daughter Effect with, and then I started my own company, and then, yeah, things got easier and easier actually. But I made a point of kind of not, yeah, breaking away, but kind of not being absorbed in the circle that I had or in the
Yeah.
friends that I had, so that I could meet new people. And then with this specific Mississippi group, I wrote him a letter when I was 50, and I said, for years I haven't really felt at home, and I'm sorry, but I it's just better for me. And what I noticed, there's a lovely word in Dutch which, how do you call it when the piano is out of tune? Do you call it out of tune
Out of
or
tune. Yeah.
out of
Yeah.
tune? So I feel there are some groups of people, um, and they're not bad people, they're good people, but they function on a kind of energy level that is not particularly good for me. So when I come home, I feel I'm like a piano out of tune, and I
Yeah.
need to retune myself. And for instance, with these wonderful women, really no bad word about them, wonderful women. But when I came back from a weekend, first of all, I would like have this dread of going there for weeks. And then I would be in that weekend and then I would come back and it took me weeks to kind of come back into my own flow and my own energy level. And it just costs too much.
Gosh, yes.
So I've decided, to really not do that anymore. And it's good for me. And sometimes, and they're so sweet and kind. I mean, sometimes we do have funerals of parents or whatever, and they always come sit with us and just say, why don't you come back? But I just sense it's not my place to be.
No, I know exactly what you mean.
Do you?
It's really odd. I don't know. I mean, yes. I mean, you used to come and, well, you have come and stayed with us in Aldborough, which is a sort of seaside, small town where a lot of middle class people kind of have holiday houses or come for holidays. And we had a house there, and we went there every summer. And sort of in my teenage years, especially, sailing was the thing we all, all the teenagers did. And we were part of a group, and everybody had parties and got together, and my youngest brother has, oh, actually, he's just bought a house there again. He has sort of moved back there, and he's reconnecting. I mean, he was always good at the friendship group thing. He always has had wide circles of friends. He's very charming. He's very sort of good at good at social things.
Some people just can do it. They're really good
Yes,
at it.
yes,
Yes.
absolutely. And now he's reconnecting with all those people. And, he's he and his wife have said to me, "Oh, you must come back and, see them all. They all remember you. They would all love to see you again." And I think, really? Do they? Do they remember me? I was just a teenage girl that they haven't seen for a half a century now. What do they remember, and what will they think of me now? And can I actually face? I don't know why. Why am I scared of this? I don't know. Can I face meeting them all again? I seem to have gone on such a different track to them, to have had such a different life where they've all, at least in my mind, they've all had good jobs, made lots of money, done all the sort of things that were, had their families, bought, sort of expensive houses, got nice cars, got a retirement, that's sort of well planned and everything. And I just feel like an outsider, or kind of that I mean, it's perfect. I'm sure it's completely unreasonable, but I feel like I would be criticized or in some way. I mean, I'm sure I wouldn't be, but that's how it feels. Does that make sense to you at all?
Yeah.
No, you're kind of looking, you're
No,
saying
no, no,
yes, but
no. I'm just thinking of how to word this, and maybe let's ask a question, then I can think in the meantime. If you're listening to this or watching us, and we're really curious, what does friendship mean to you? Do you have like one bosom friend with whom you share everything? Are you a person who can function in a circle of friends that goes on for years and that stays together, and that maybe you're invited back into? So yeah, let us know. Let us know.
yes, yeah,
Um,
indeed.
yeah, I think I would come back to the energy thing, Lucy, that I think it's very kind, to say, oh, I remember Lucy and she was fun. And I mean, you remember them. So why would
Yes,
they not
yes, yes,
remember
that's
you?
true.
I mean, of course
That
they would
is true.
remember you,
Yes.
right? But I mean, there's always this, do I look forward to meeting them? Am I curious? What kind of life did they have? Because what you're describing is also very much kind of an outside life. Maybe they also had an inner life. How was their inward life? What did they love? What were their inner successes or realizations? And or am I a bit skeptical, or is it kind of an atmosphere that, makes me go out of tune and I would come back and feel like, yeah,
Yes, that's the thing I absolutely resonate with, the out of tune thing. I mean, I know that I could, go and, meet some of those people, have, I don't know, kind of have a drink with them, whatever. and then but it would be, I would come back and somehow I would feel really, really awful in some way, and it
Drained.
drained and sort of wrong in some way.
Yeah. I
I
know
mean,
exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. And a lot of it is kind of, I also turn into somebody who is awkward and who cannot, for the life of me, think of anything to talk about.
yeah, yeah,
Whereas when I am with my people, or like we are, this is our 35th episode. And
yeah,
even if like this morning we go like, what are we going to talk about? One of us says something and then we talk about it for an hour and it just happens by itself.
yeah.
So those are the people I like to be with.
Yes, yes, and I never feel bad after coming off our
Oh, good. That's
conversation
good to
together.
hear.
I hope you don't either.
No, never. No, and it is a creation. Whereas, it's also people, we all have our like suppositions, like of, tenets or beliefs that we come from. And very often when I am with, another group of people, they have such different belief systems from mine that I'm constantly kind of wrong-footed.
Yes,
And it isn't me, it's just, belief systems that aren't comparable.
yeah, yeah. No, no,
People will go like, "Oh, where's your next trip?"
yes,
And I'm
where,
like,
yes,
"My next trip, yes, I do have trips planned because I go to places where I have something to do. Uh, but I'm not planning one trip after another, and I'm mostly interested in my life here, and not so
yes,
much in where I've been. And then immediately I can't really answer that question. And the train kind of goes on and people are having fun and I go like, not my conversation.
no, no. It's very weird, isn't it? I mean, I kind of think I have in my mind that people will say to me, "Well, what have you been doing for the last 50 years?" And I won't know how to explain my life to them. I won't, or even now, what are you doing now? I'm not sure I can make sense of it for a group of people who are doing something completely different, and whether
Yeah.
they, how I just can't. I mean, I even now I'm kind of grasping for words. I don't. The situation makes me feel so uncomfortable that
And I give those answers like, I feel I have fulfilled and I'm still fulfilling the mission I came to Earth with. And people go like, huh? But I am, you know, yeah, sometimes I'm kind of talking the language that I talk and not adapting to the language spoken there because although we all speak Dutch or English or whatever, there's many different languages and different groups from
yeah.
different, belief systems and ways of looking at the world.
Yes, yes. No, I went to stay with this my younger brother and his wife and in their new house in Aldeburgh and we were talking about our childhood there and how actually our family, I mean, they were all sort of families of people who did all the sporty things. I mean, it was very much around the sailing, there's golf there, people play tennis, and the parents all the other people's parents were all kind of somehow part of that. And our parents just weren't. I mean, my father was much older than all the, and he was very intellectual and he was not in any way sporty. He didn't, kind of, and we were saying that we felt a bit, we were a bit outsiderish. I mean, I perhaps felt it. Well, I don't know. Perhaps Mark felt it as well. I mean, I know he did, but that did make us different. And I wonder if I've just kind of, I just feel, that sort of outsiderishness and kind of like pretending to be part of the group when
Yeah.
actually you're somehow not quite. I think I've retained that probably a lot more than he has. And I mean, I did actually see one of my old friends who, a couple of 2 or 3 years ago from that period, and he's sort of still, he's now got a big yacht and, kind of, in fact, all his family have kind of moved back there as well. And he said, "Oh, you must come out on a sailing trip with us. We'll go and have a picnic down the river, and it will be lovely." And I was thinking, I said, "Oh, yes, thank you. That would be yes, that would be lovely." And I was thinking, oh my goodness, I could not cope. I just couldn't cope with that.
Yeah,
It would be a nightmare to me without
yeah.
wanting to be rude. It would be a lovely thing for most people, I feel, to want to do, but somehow for me, I would feel trapped and
Well, you are on a boat.
well,
Like, you can't really say, "Oh my goodness, is it this time
no,
already?"
can we go
No,
home
you
now?
are kind of trapped on a boat. Yeah. So it's interesting that we have this in common.
Yeah,
People and circles where we don't feel at home, although they're very nice people and they
absolutely.
have lots of parties and lots of, they're very dissociable people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
So yes,
I do have friends.
yes, yes, I have friends as well. I don't want to make out that I'm completely, sort of
Yeah.
what we call in England, Billy no mates. I mean, I don't,
Really, no mates.
yeah,
Oh, no, not nomads, but no
no
mates.
mates.
Okay. Yeah.
The person who
I,
has no friends.
yeah. Yeah. I do. I have worried sometimes that, because like you, I meet people through work and then befriend them. And then I go like, oh, when is the time coming when I'm no longer working because I can't or because I'm just old-fashioned or whatever,
Yes.
or my mind isn't quick enough anymore. I don't remember things or I
Yeah.
don't understand the language of the Gen Z or whatever. Who will I see and what will I do? And I've kind of, yeah, turning 70, I think, wow, I've come this far.
Yes, I'll probably
Okay,
manage.
I'll probably manage. Yeah. And I have younger friends too. My friends
Yeah.
are all in the same age bracket. Does that go for you too?
Yes, yes, definitely. I mean, the friends I mean, my work friends are all younger than me, and that's nice. I don't feel an age difference. I don't think they do particularly. I mean, sometimes something will come up that is sort of age specific, but also in a work sense, I said before I have this mastermind group of women who are mostly not entirely younger than me, but I think I'm very close to some of them, and they're younger than me, and I think the friendships will continue there. So that's very nice. And yeah, I guess we'll just have to see how we go after we get too old to.
Yeah, and I've had a wonderful thing happen to me actually last week. Is a young woman in her, I think she's in her 30s, who is very interested, or as she says, obsessed, but that's also kind of a word which I wouldn't use, but other generations use, with the boreal forest in Sweden and Norway and Finland and parts of Russia and the people, the Sami who live there. And so she started a foundation, and then she said, I'm doing this all by myself, and I'm doing all these studies, and I'm talking with them, but they're very far away, and I want to start a wisdom council. Would you be part of my wisdom council? I go, yay! I said, you could not make me happier. I've always wanted to become. What do you want to become, Lisette? I want to become wise. That was my thing. And I mean, I cannot say
Right.
whether that happened or not, but sometimes people tell me that they experience me like that. So that is absolutely great. And now to be on a wisdom council, it feels like you don't actually need to do so much, but you can just be there and
Yeah.
listen deeply and ask questions and support someone in kind of finding a way in yeah. So, and she's going to invite many of my other friends. So maybe I will have a little wisdom circle friends of friends there.
Yes, yes, that's lovely. And perhaps when we're very old, we'll go and live in an old people's home, and there will be friends forced on us just for the people who are there. Who knows?
My mother, in her later years, we offered it to her. She was like in a bungalow with a carer, and we said, my mother was very outgoing and
He
social,
was,
always
yes.
organizing parties and organizing, you know, they lived abroad for a while, and when they came back, her friends would tell us, well, we really know your mother is back. We're now part of this museum group, and we're part of this travel group, and we're part of this eat club because she. But in our later years, we said, don't you want to go, to a home, and a nice one, so you can meet people. Oh, no, she wanted to stay
No.
where she is, and I hope to be able to stay where I am and
Yes, yes, me too. Me too.
go there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be very interesting to hear from other people who their best friends are, whether you have circles of friends who have stayed with you all your life, or whether you dip in and out of friendships, perhaps more in the way that we do. I'd love to hear about other people's ideas and feelings and experiences of friendship and
Yeah.
how it
And I
works in
think
your
it is,
life.
I mean, to me, it's really reassuring that I'm still making new friends.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
find it very reassuring. I'm just grateful and enjoying meeting new people. And then there is a bit of kind of catching up. What kind of a family? Where did you grow up? What kind of a family were you in? But it's also kind of meeting people where they are, where I am, and um, yeah, yeah, I'm very grateful that this doesn't stop or hasn't stopped yet, even if we are on our way to 71, because that's where we are,
I
right?
know it's looming, isn't it?
Coming closer. It's looming. It's less
Closer,
than three
yes.
months for me now.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no good. I mean, maybe friendship is something we will learn to cultivate more for its own sake as we get older. Who knows?
Yeah. And that's so interesting. Cultivate for its own sake. Yeah.
No, let's not start on another.
No, it's
Richard.
okay.
Yes, I don't.
Yes.
Sorry, I shouldn't have dropped that in at the end.
No,
But
no, no.
yes, when we
Okay.
don't, but when we
You
don't,
want to end this conversation. That is fine. Let us know about your friends. And I
yeah.
enjoyed to speak about friendship and how you and I, you know,
Yes.
are wired for friendship.
Yes, that's a really nice way of putting it. Yes, how are you wired for friendship? That's really interesting. And I think, I mean, I absolutely love talking to you every week, and I feel this is a really important sort of part of our friendship.
It is.
It is,
It is. Talking every week also really helps in a
yeah,
friendship.
yes, of course it does.
I see you more than anybody else, apart from my partner, I think.
I know,
It's
that's funny.
lovely. And it's been lovely, and we still have 3 months to go.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Okay.
Okay, well, tell us about your friendship and your wiring, and we will see you next week.
Okay. Bye, my friends. Bye, my
Bye.
friend.